Hi, Shauna.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. Good to see you again.
Yeah, yeah. Today we're going to talk about shifting friendships because it happens all the time in divorce. I don't know
Yes.
about your experience, but for mine, um, yeah. You want to start or you want me to start?
I would love to hear your experience.
So one of that what I wanted to talk about today was how things change with married couples. Like you have married friends, and then once you get divorced, it kind of So I had a girlfriend that, we had been, good married couple friends. And as soon as I started talking about like I was divorcing and then it happened, um, the friendship just went away,
Mm, yeah.
right? It just, uh,
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've thought about it a couple of different ways. And I know you do a lot of work with grief, and so
mhm,
it could probably play out a lot in different areas of grief. But I always try to think of the best intentions of people, and so I was always just thinking like maybe they don't know how to support me in this time, right?
mhm.
Because people think I want to be there for them, but I don't know how, and so they kind of just like back away from it altogether. Um, or unfortunately, divorce still, I think, has that stigma of being contagious, and so they don't want to be near it. And even though it
Mhm.
really has nothing to do with them, they don't want it in their atmosphere either, which is really unfortunate because I think this is the time when people need support the most. And so kind of like what you were saying, my ex and I had been together during our college years. So a lot of our friends were mutual friends that we all just went to school together. So it was really an interesting dynamic when we split up because it was just like they're all our
Mhm.
friends. Like
Mhm.
we kind of grew up together in a sense. And so I think it's really important for people who are going through this or just starting to go through this. I don't like, personally, I don't like when people make pick sides. It's like, well, you can't be friends with my ex, and then I'm not going to be friends with you, or you have to choose who to be friends
Mhm.
with. I think that's really unfair to ask of people. And so, I think I really just wanted to leave it up to them whether or not to continue to have a relationship with my, ex-partner. But what do you think about that?
Well, I just want to go back to, I actually wrote it down. So there's actually research from Brown's University by Rose McDermott, who said if one of your closest friends experience divorce, your likelihood of going through a similar experience increases by 75%. So when you
Oh, okay.
so when you said that they get in there and they go, I think that's what happened with my friend is that she's like, this is making me feel vulnerable about my
Right.
own marriage because we all know marriages take work and there's struggles, right? So I think
Yeah.
she was feeling like, oh, that's too hard. I don't want anything to change in my relationship or look deeper into things. And so
It's kind of like
that's what I.
putting the spotlight on some of the negativity, maybe. And if you're
Mhm,
hearing your friend talk about how you're getting divorced because of, not helping with the kids or not helping around the house,
right.
and like your partner does that, yeah, it can maybe make you feel like, are we heading towards divorce? But I mean, so that's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I've
Yeah, I
never read up on the research, so
Yeah, I was like, that's really telling,
it
isn't it? Right. So it's like, as
is.
you said, divorce cantigen, right? You're like, oh, I don't want to touch that. And I think that could be more common than maybe we had thought. That's the reason why friends shift, right? Also, I also want to mention that when you're going through divorce, not, and you're past kind of that acute and you're starting to rediscover yourself, you're more in that recovery mode. Um, you're in self-development mode, like you're really like you're trying new things, you're dating again, or and then the married people aren't quite as, they're like, well, we're just doing our normal stuff, right? So they may not be lining up with what you're doing, like if
Mhm.
I'm going to go try sailboating or and they're going to be like, well, we're just doing our normal stuff, right? So maybe that
Yeah.
also too kind of, you're not lining up the same way anymore.
I totally agree with that. It was really hard for me when I was really fresh to see all of the families doing the family things that you no longer really get to do. And so, yeah, you kind of are on this island by yourself where you're like forced to do things solo if you don't have, the kids, or if there weren't kids involved anyway, then your choice is either like to sit at home and do
Hmm.
kind of wallow, or get out and experience things by yourself, or make new friends, which if you're 30, 40, 50, that can be scary to make new friends. And so it was, difficult for me, where it was like I kind of wanted to be invited to things by my friends, and they probably didn't know that. Um, but then it's like if you are invited and you go, then of course you're gonna be around their family, and then it reminds you of what you are not part of anymore. So it's kind of like a weird situation, I guess, to navigate. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't type situation.
So this reminds me kind of in my grief world is where, and this I experienced myself, right? So in the grief world, a lot of the widowers I've worked with over the years, they're like, I feel like a third wheel,
Yes,
right? And
yes.
so I didn't really understand it until it happened to me. And just like you were saying, going, I'm the third wheel, right? Like I'm like, oh, and it is a different feeling. Like you're not a couple. We know that society likes couples in the nuclear family, right? And you're kind of like, everybody's coupled here, everybody's got their kids, it's a normal looking family, and I'm different looking than them. I know it's
Mm-hmm.
getting better, but still it felt for me, I was like, oh, I'm a little bit on the outside now, right?
Yeah, it can definitely be a lonely feeling because,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, yeah, you are kind of the third wheel, or they don't know that you want to be invited, or even like, let's just take divorce out of it. Like you said a lot in your grief counseling, if you're widowed, even if you're just like a single person that
Mm-hmm.
is beyond their 20s, right? I heard somebody say, like, oh, my sister-in-law who doesn't have kids, isn't married, like she wants to come to the pumpkin patch with us. And I think that's weird. And I'm like, but because she wants to be included, like
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have a family to do family things with. And so I think that's nice to extend the invitation, whether or not she takes it. And so it is that weird balance of wanting to be invited. You don't want to invite yourself to these things, and then your friends might feel weird inviting you to family things.
Yeah.
And so I think a good rule of thumb is for the friends, if they don't know quite what to do in the divorce, to support you, is send the invitation, and then whether they say yes or no, don't take that personally. It could also depend on if it's a good day where you have a lot of energy and
Mm-hmm.
you do feel like getting out of the
Agree.
house, take advantage of that. But also that friend might be feeling like sad and down, and they just want to stay home and watch a movie by themselves, but still continue to invite
Yeah.
them to things.
Yeah,
Don't give up because
I
they
agree.
say no one time.
Yeah. 100% agree
Yeah.
with that. That as you were saying at the beginning, people, unless they've gone through a divorce, don't realize how much support you actually really need. And the more support, the better. And one of the things I really like you said is like, don't give up on them, right? Like just, even if you just check in on them, right? Because it is an emotional journey. Divorce is not, it is a business to get divorced, but there's a lot of emotion behind it. So the more support they have. And the sad thing is that there is, for most of us, going to be some shifting of relationships. And another thing
Mm-hmm.
I want to say is, you know, when you're going to a married group of people, one of the things is maybe not talk about the divorce all the time, right?
Yes.
Like,
Right.
just try
Right. And
to,
it doesn't need to turn into like a bashing
right.
session or a therapy session or anything like that. More often than not, the person who is divorced, who is getting out of the house, they really just want to have a break
Mm-hmm.
from everything for a minute. And so, if you can go bowling and have fun, just like focus on having fun. Don't focus on, yes, you can check in and see how things are going, but
Mm-hmm.
not spend the whole time harping on it, because chances are they kind of are looking for an outlet at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's going to be certain friends that you can talk to about it in a safe spot. like, and there's
Yeah.
going to be ones that are like, they don't give the right type of vibe or support. So you actually have to be really mindful of who you're picking for your friends as well, like who you're
Hmm.
counting for your support as well. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, 100%. And I was
Hmm.
just thinking it's also an opportunity to make new friends that do understand what
Hmm.
you're going through. So, reaching out to see if there's like any support groups in the area or any kind of like single mom, single dad, whatever the case may be. It is a good opportunity to make new friends that don't have all that history with you as a
Hmm.
couple. They're just seeing you as a person, an individual that's going through this, and they're also going through it. So I've made some really great friendships through the divorce process
Hmm.
as well. So just, keeping an open mind to new people coming into your life.
Yeah, because it is when you divorce, as we know, it's a relationship that's died. You have to rebuild yourself up. And it takes courage too. Like it's not always easy, but you have to kind of, like you said before, you have to kind of put your step forward to encourage new friendships, to work at getting new friendships, right? And
Yeah,
um and as you said, you've met a lot of great friends now. Um that are probably you fit really well with who you are now, right? Because you do change as a
exactly.
person. Yeah.
Yes, and so it is great to have those friendships from college, from when you're 20
Hmm.
or, things like that. Certainly not saying to get rid of them, but it is nice to have different relationships for different points of your life. And if those old friends can continue with you through this transition, then that's amazing. We all want to have those lifelong friends that have
Hmm.
been with you through everything. But certainly there is some value to add to you are becoming a whole new person, which is going to, open you up to a whole new set of to people in your life. And I think
Hmm.
that also is valuable.
Just a quick thing before we go. Do you think with family, there's a lot, they can be shifting obviously from your ex's family. And I just want to acknowledge that for some, I mean, not everybody, there can be grief there as well, right? Like you may have been close to the cousins, or you
Mm,
may have been close to the sister-in-law, or son, brother-in-law, whatever. So that's also, I want to acknowledge that not always can those friendships, like that family friendship, can be maintained, right? It depends on
mhm.
the type of divorce you're having.
Yeah, it definitely depends on your divorce, your dynamic. And I will say, like, personally, for me, I have remained close with my in-laws from my first marriage, which that was a grieving process that I had to go to because
Hmm.
I really loved that family. And that's another sense of loss
Hmm.
of I'm losing all of these people that I would see every holiday or, go to the games and things like that together. And even in times when me and my ex couldn't, get along or get on the same page, it was nice that I still was able to
Hmm.
separate that from that family dynamic. But not everyone is lucky enough to do that. And so again, I know we talk about grief a lot on these episodes, but there's so many different dynamics in the grieving process, and that can be one of them.
Yeah, I just
So
wanted to bring it up.
definitely.
And sometimes the family can, at the beginning, because it's so acute and fresh, and people kind of have to pick sides, doesn't mean that
Mm-hmm.
eventually they can't work like, you know, you know, I even talk to my ex sister-in-law from time to time now, where I wouldn't have never done that 5 years ago. So I'm just saying it can settle and you can
Yes.
reconnect after.
Certainly when it's fresh, everyone is kind of like, I don't know what to do. I
Hmm.
don't know if I can talk to this person or not. And I love that you brought that up. There are so many things that shift over
Hmm.
time, relationships being one of them. So I think that's, if it's not going how you want now, it doesn't mean that it's not eventually able to get there.
Yeah. I just want to ask if anyone has any questions for us about shifting friendships. And otherwise, do you have any other things to say? I know you're coming out with a new podcast.
I am coming out with a new
That's
podcast, and
awesome.
yes, I'm very excited about that. So I will be sharing that on social media. So if people want to access that, that would be amazing. And I believe you're gonna, take a turn
I'm going
coming
to take a turn in
on, so we
the
get to hear
chair.
more of your story. And so yeah, I'll
Looking forward to
to
it.
be continued. Yes, I'm very excited about that. And you, any news on your end?
The book
Anything
is
to share?
coming very soon. We're actually really getting close. I actually was saying to Kirk this morning, I think it was this morning, I'm like, we're thinking about titles now. Like we're getting really
Okay.
close. So it's been a lot of work.
Yes.
we'll be really, really excited when it's done.
Well,
So
we're all very, very excited for it to come out. But in the meantime, certainly if anybody has anything else to say, they can DM me or you.
yep,
And my website is shaunawardencoaching.com. And yours is?
DivorceWorkshop.ca.
Perfect.
And we'll be back, I hope, right? Next month
Yep,
or something. I was
of
thinking
course.
maybe the topic could be, can you be friends with your
Oh,
ex?
good one.
Yeah, well,
I don't know
yeah.
if I'm the most perfect one to talk about that, but we'll see what we can do.
Oh well. Oh well.
I
It
have
just kind of,
opinions one way or another, right?
yeah. I still think it's a good topic.
It is. It really is.
All right. All right. Take care, everybody, and
All right.
thanks, Shauna.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.